What's up, Comic Book Nation? Be here. Welcome back to the studio here at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm here with two of the most important men at the con right now, and I don't think I'm giving you too much credit when I say that. Christopher, Markus, and Stephen McFeely. Look, you are the pens behind what is about to be the biggest movie in the world, so congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you. Yeah, we're rooting for it. But thank you for a great ride with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We were just saying it's your sixth movie.
Yes. Marvel movie.
So you're not a stranger to Comic-Con.
We've been a few times, yeah. We went first in 2011
with Cap 1.
With Cap 1, and with a very small profile. It was coming out right around then, so there wasn't a big. They didn't use it as a launching point. Okay. But it was cool to go to.
So now you're back, and Avengers: Endgame has come and gone in theaters. People have seen it. You can talk. What is the experience like? Can you guys walk around the floor like people?
I haven't tried it yet. I think if I'm wearing the right clothes, nobody knows who that I am, which is great.
Is that any clothes?
No. If I walk around naked, no one knows who I am, and I will be avoided. I can do whatever I want.
If you keep the clothes on, I'm willing to put that to the test. I think
literally I'd have to have a shirt that says Steve McFeely.
No, I don't think. I really think people would notice you. But when's the last time you got to like walk around the floor?
2016.
16
around
we came.
Civil War.
Yeah.
And so what was your best memory of Comic-Con back then? Because we're celebrating 50 years this year. So.
Well, the best memory of it, just in the current context, was we had signed on for Infinity War, and I was looking around for Thanos merchandise, and I couldn't find anything. And I have a feeling there's some
this
Thanos
place
out
is
there
lousy
now.
with Thanos.
Yeah.
There is so much Thanos now.
So that is satisfying. I just always like being here. You know, you walk around a corner and Steranko's sitting there at a table, and you're like, this is weird.
So now that you can talk about the movie and everyone has seen it, everyone in the world has seen it, what is the most common question you get, whether it's from reporters or from fans? What do people want to talk about the most?
We get a little bit of time travel wobbly-jobbly there. But in general, it's about wow, that must have been really hard. That's a lot of people. And generally people think, well, you stuck to landing and landed all those planes. And so that was the goal, was really to try to do right by 22 movies and honor all these characters and escort some off the stage appropriately.
So when did you hatch the time travel rules that you guys used in this movie? Like, what did you lock yourselves in a room?
Yeah,
with experts.
It felt locked. I'm not sure it was locked, but we were in a conference room for the last 5 or so months of 2015, breaking both of these movies. We knew where Infinity War was going to end, and then we had to fix it, and. It really was pretty desperate for a few days. It was like, write yourself into a corner. It's like, well, we can't get out of the corner. And then when you first think time machine, you think, well, that's the lamest possible way to get out of a corner. That's like cheating. Right. But then Scott Lang's in the quantum realm, and then the quantum realm really does have different time qualities. And then we brought in a physicist, and then suddenly it didn't seem so cheaty anymore.
Did you watch it? Because there's several references to movies that have time travel. Sure. So did you watch any particularly to try to develop it? Because I'm curious, did you make sure you didn't want to?
Yes, we went back and watched both Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2 specifically. But you can already predict why we did this, right? If we were going to go back and follow time, call them normal, but it also tells you how important Back to the Future is, because everyone thinks that that's how time travel works, right? Because it's a great movie, maybe the best of its subject. But if we were to do that and you were to do something in the past and it would screw up your future, we're going to do that 6 times. We would have no way to follow that. There would just be exponentially crazy town.
And it would also make solving their problem actually remarkably easy. You just go back and knock over a water dish, and suddenly time has changed. And there's no disaster. We needed it to be the hardest thing that they've ever done.
That's right.
So in theory, and I'm sure you're hearing all sorts of theories, back in 2012 in the Avengers, if we had known where this ship was going to land, would there have been like a second Hulk we would have seen?
Would we have planted all those little things that we ended up saying? Well, if you had all the money in the world, sure.
Yeah, like if you could have predicted, do you think is that how
I don't know what... I mean, it hadn't happened yet, but when This is immediately you get into the mind-bending paradoxes of time travel, and it's best not to go there.
Listen.
But I do love, say, that third Harry Potter movie, right, where a stone will break a vase, and you won't know why, but the scene's fine, and it doesn't take you out of it. But then when you come back around and you realize that they had thrown to themselves, I do love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, in the time travel in 2012, we have Loki disappear.
Yeah.
And obviously, the fans are speculating this could prompt like the Loki Disney Plus show. Is that like? I'm curious though. Like, when you're coming up with moments like that, that could lead to something, whether it's that or anything else in the movie, whether it's like Gamora leaving 2014 and staying in the present. Is that kind of your creative decision, or is there kind of a collaborative process where people are saying, we might do this in the future, we need to kind of set a stage?
It's not that, it's certainly collaborative.
Yeah.
But no one said, hey, Loki show, figure out a way to give us a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, no, that purely came up with how do we screw up that sequence?
Yeah.
So that it
What's the worst
so
thing
that
that
it
can
doesn't
happen?
just work. Like they came in, they got it, and everything worked
Because
fine.
remember, they need to get back to, we need to have a whole sequence where they go to Camp Lehigh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
we gotta-
ridiculous kind of Three Stooges nature of it.
So
It all came at once.
So you guys are veterans in the Captain America franchise. You've been with him through 5 movies. Who was your favorite, other than Captain America, if that is your answer, who was your favorite character to get your hands on and give them an arc? Because one thing you guys do in these crowded movies is make every character matter.
Yeah.
Nobody's just there as a prop. So who was your favorite one to work with?
The Cap franchise?
In the Avengers and Civil War, I guess.
Well, I'm pretty proud of the arc that we helped put Thor on, right? I think he's been a really interesting character over the course of it. I mean, after Thor the Dark World, I'm not positive everybody said, oh, Thor's my favorite character. But I think he's so clearly many people's favorite character now, and that's because of good work by Taika Waititi and Eric Pearson and Hemsworth himself. And so the idea that we could take a guy in a funny movie like Ragnarok and then keep the essence of that guy and punch him in the mouth and take all these things away from him and see how he responds and have him fail in the most spectacular way and then slowly come back and go back in time to get, sort of closure with his mother and a pep talk in a way. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff happening, rich stuff for a character you didn't know had all that.
Yeah, he had the biggest roller coaster, I think,
sure.
through Infinity War and Endgame, and it worked out. At least kind of for him. He's with the guard. We'll see. But
he's mentally very healthy.
Speaking of arcs, you concluded the arc of Tony Stark, my boy Iron Man. I think I was audibly sobbing at the premiere. You probably heard me. I'm sorry if my tears.
Is that you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Who got to go to the premiere.
I've gone to theaters to see it 4 times since then, and I've cried every time.
I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Specifically, you crying.
Well,
fills me with joy.
Gosh, stop it. But did you ever? Was that always the plan? Did you ever have a consideration for alternate characters dying other than Tony and Thanos?
We may have played with some others, but Tony was always it just arc-wise and mathematically it is the perfect ending for Tony Stark, and to drag him on, he needs to make a sacrifice. He needs to make the ultimate sacrifice when you go from selfish to that. So we always knew where Cap was going to end, and we always knew where Tony was going to end.
I was going to say, we all thought going into this movie, the fans all thought it was going to be Captain America.
Too easy.
That's too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy will jump on a grenade every movie.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself twice in the first movie.
Remember, think about what's happening.
In First Avenger.
Tony is going one way and Steve's going another way. Tony is going from, over the course of these many movies, from selfish to selfless. And Steve's not doing exactly the opposite, but he's certainly starting at selfless, and he's learning to get a life, to be self-interested. And so when he makes a decision at the end to go back, put his shield down, and be the soldier that comes back from war, that's the biggest journey. Jumping on another grenade is not a move for him.
Yeah, and I mean, we also lost Black Widow.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
I mean,
also true.
how early in the process was that? Like, how did that get kind of communicated to Scarlett that this is the end of the journey?
Above my pay grade, that one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was, obviously, she, as a character, has a bit more, because she hasn't had a solo movie, she hasn't had there's stories to be told there. But on her Avengers arc, that moment, which we'd set up the math in the first movie. Somebody has to die off that cliff in order to get the Soul Stone. That's the only way you get it. And we needed 2 people who loved each other to make the equation work. And it was when we figured out where that 5-year gap had left all the people. It really had left her at this spot where all she was working for was holding the line, staying on the wall, holding the world together. And this was what she would do. Right. There was just no question about it. So it was, I don't know who told Scarlett.
Fair.
It wasn't me.
So, but then when you go back to the end of Infinity War, and speaking of all those deaths, how did you strategically pick which characters would go? Was it because we wanted to give the original Avengers kind of their...
That's a big part of it. Is the mission was, second movie was going to be mostly about the original sort of OG Avengers. First movie is about Thanos, even though no one knew that was coming, right? But it was definitely going to be an Avengers-centric movie, and we were going to say goodbye to a bunch of them. So we needed to carve out time for the original 6, but we also were going to have a few other people to make the math work.
Yeah. And you had to give weight to it. If you left everybody who had a franchise to their name standing and killed off their friends, it would seem very cheaty.
Yeah.
So people had to go, big people.
So did you always know they'd come back to the on your left line?
No, that works great.
When did you guys write on your left, or was that?
I think that's a Joe Russo suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote it originally when it was in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But it is just so satisfying because it means so
crazy.
much.
For fans, right? I guess maybe my grandmother doesn't know. What
for fans
and
for Cap there's that moment where he's looking at them and where he's seeing them come back and he almost smiles.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because he will shoulder it alone, and he was just about to shoulder it alone and get killed.
Yeah.
To see people coming to his aid after he's done it so many times.
For what it's worth, it's just
great.
the alley scene writ large, right? In the first Captain America, he's going to stand up to the bully, he's going to stand up to the bully, he's going to get his ass, kicked constantly, and then Bucky comes to his rescue, and now everybody comes to his rescue.
He deserved it. He earned it.
For sure.
It was. When you went to the theater on opening weekend, you have like the fans of this in the packed theaters who bought their tickets when they dropped that line.
Super satisfying.
Everybody. I mean, it was the loudest I've heard in a movie theater. It's like I was at a sporting event.
Yeah.
But speaking of characters who didn't die, you have like characters like Cassie Lang who didn't get snapped. She's much older.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that decision at all? Bringing in the older and that reunion.
That's one of like the 5 moments where I get a little teary, and it's early in the movie, but it's just Paul Rudd's doing a great job, and the idea that he clearly something good has happened because my daughter is here. Something awful has happened. I just lost 5 years, perhaps the most important 5 years of this girl's life, and I wasn't around for it.
Yeah.
Like just heartbreak all over the place here.
It's also when you think about it, it's a little bit of a view into what's going to happen in the world when this movie's over, which we don't deal with because our movie ends, but dealing with that missing 5 years is going to be hard as hell. And people will have moved on with their lives. They'll have gotten married. They'll have moved out. Your children will be old. There will be people who died of natural causes.
Right.
When you come back and they're not there, like it is a very murky, complex situation, and that gave us just a little sampler.
And I know you guys are obviously huge Marvel Comics fans, and so you know who Cassie Lang becomes in comics. And I remember there was the conversations a while ago that they once thought about bringing. She becomes Batman. They thought about bringing the Wasp into Civil War, but elected to kind of sideline her to give her her own focus in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Was there ever any conversation about doing more with like
No, when we started the project, it was put in everybody you can, try to fulfill this idea of Infinity War and the Endgame, but if we had to create an origin story in addition, it's another reason.
But if you had all the time in the world or all the movies in the world, was there anything that you guys would there have been more pages to your script?
I mean,
did you get to do everything you wanted?
Boy, did you? It's
because
you wanted more.
In the words of Wong, what you wanted more?
I would like to read a book called "In the Words of Wong." It's all about tuna melts. No. I mean, there were things we tried that were interesting, but they had no place in the movie eventually. There was a lot of... We were looking at drafts of Infinity War the other day, and we started it just chronologically much earlier in the process. You saw a lot more of people's lives before the Thanos plot line got to them. And They were super cool, but completely extraneous because they weren't on plot. So no, there's nothing I would put in these movies, but there's plenty of things that I find fascinating that if you could find a plot for them would be fun.
But there was never like a very alternate, different ending or anything. These were always kind of the two landing points for Infinity War and Endgame, right?
Yes, for sure. Tony sacrificed himself and Thanos winning were the two big moments.
So how do you guys then deal with like Eric Summers and Chris McKenna, who had to go on and write Spider-Man Far From Home? Because you can't tell anybody, but I'm sure you guys are talking. Are you just kind of like, well, here's what we're doing?
Listen,
I just pat him on the back and go,
that's right.
Good luck, buddy.
So long, suckers.
And I mean, I have to ask you, anything we can look forward to from you guys in the future? Will you return to Marvel? Do you have any projects of your own you can talk about?
Yeah, we started a studio with the Russo brothers, and so we're shepherding a lot of the stuff that's happening there. One of the things we're writing is a project called Electric State, which is based on a book by Simon Stalenhag. It's sort of almost like a concept art book, and it envisions a 1996, sort of alternate 96, based after a big war where a girl and her robot have to go search for her brother, and it's trippy. I advise people to just look up Electric State pictures. And currently that has Andy Machete attached, so that would be awesome.
None of which is to
He's
say
killing it right now.
Yeah.
We would definitely go back to Marvel when the time is right or if the character's right.
Who's the character?
There's a whole bunch. Do
they tell you? I know Saturday we're going to hear a little bit of what's next.
I don't know anything about
They don't tell you anything, huh?
No.
Wow.
I mean, I go, well, I read that in the trades, and I read that on this and that. So maybe.
Well, I mean, what's amazing now
Kevin Feige's
is
phone.
That's right.
they are so established that they are, they're developing things that even I, who've worked there a long time, I don't really know anything about these properties. Wow. And it's super fun.
Yeah.
And it also opens up, when you say what character, if you had asked me 5 years ago, what character would you make a movie out of? There's probably 10 you could conceivably make a movie out of. There's nobody now that they have that you can't make a movie about.
Oh yeah, they can make anybody work.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what's next. And guys, everybody at home, Avengers Endgame hits digital downloads July 30th. You can own a Blu-ray hard copy. August 13th. That's what I'm a collector. I'm going to buy the hard copy.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's all sorts of special features. I'm sure. Will you guys be on the Blu-ray? Is there any?
We have a commentary.
Commentary
there's
track.
some stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christopher Markus, Stephen McFeely, for coming by the studio.
Thanks, man.
And Comic Book Nation, make sure you stay tuned to Comicbook.com for more from San Diego Comic-Con.